Pale light filters across the endless expanse of the Mammoth steppe. It's not warmth that arrives with the sun, it's just visibility. The air is knife-sharp, a dry cold that sears the lungs and numbs the fingers before a thought can form. The wind scours the earth, low and constant, bending the frozen grasses and sweeping long plumes of powdery snow across the crusted ground. Somewhere in the distance, a low trumpet cuts the silence, the call of a mammoth herd on the move. We're in what we now call the Upper Paleolithic, about 20,000 years ago, in what would one day be Eastern Europe or Siberia. But to the small human clan camped in a shallow river valley, this place has no name, just weather, tracks, fire, and danger. In a cluster of hide tents stitched from reindeer and mammoth skins, a dozen lives begin to stir. Their fire is low, their breath visible, and their thoughts singular. Survive this day. It's a world built on layers of ingenuity, intuition, and inherited skill, but it's also a world where mistakes are rarely forgiven. No antibiotics, no warm shelter just a few steps away, no backup plans. So here's the question. If you were dropped into this world for just 24 hours, no gear, no knowledge, no context, would you make it out alive? Probably not. And over the next 12 sections, we'll find out exactly why. If deep history fascinates you, consider subscribing for more. The story continues without pause, because as the wind picks up and the clan begins to stir, we step into a day like no other. A day that was entirely ordinary for them. Inside the hide-covered shelter, darkness lingers even after sunrise. The fire at the centre has dwindled to a soft glow, but no one sleeps in. Sleep, in the Ice Age, is a privilege measured in hours, not in comfort. The first to move are the women, shifting under fur wrappings to check the fire and cradle infants who slept between bodies for warmth. Nearby, a young boy stirs with a start, not from a bad dream, but from the cold creeping into his bones. The oldest among them, a woman whose face is etched with lines and soot, begins the morning with ritual, touching the charred bones near the hearth and muttering to ancestors long dead. Scholars still debate whether these whispered words were spiritual invocations, weather observations, or simply habit passed through time. What's certain is that nothing begins without fire and memory. There is no lounging, no stretching, movement is immediate, limbs are checked for frostbite, cracks in the shelter's hide walls are patched with slush and straw. A small child with an early cough is handed pungent herbs stored in a reindeer bladder. The clan's healer, not a doctor by our standards but knowledgeable in plant lore, watches him closely. A simple cough could mean death within days. We tend to imagine prehistoric mornings as quiet, reverent, perhaps even peaceful, but in truth they began with inventory, of people, of tools, of food, of wounds. Who returned injured from yesterday's scouting? Is the spear thrower cracked? Did the wolves come too close in the night? In this moment, one of the men steps out into the pale morning. His hand rests instinctively on the shaft of his atlatl, the throwing stick that gives his spear lethal range. He's not hunting yet, but even urinating is done with awareness. Predators know this clan is here. So do rival humans. Mainstream archaeology dates the use of such camps to at least 17,000 BCE, evidenced by the remains found at sites like Mezerich in Ukraine, where mammoth bones formed the framework of shelters. These were not random groups, they were structured, with roles shaped by age, gender, and ability, and every sunrise reset the survival equation. One lesser-known but revealing tidbit: some Ice Age clans may have slept with their weapons, not from paranoia, but from necessity. A spear is a bedfellow when wolves are a reality. The day begins, and it's not going to get any easier from here. There is no morning meal waiting over a campfire, no bubbling porridge, no roasted meat. The clan awakens to hunger, not as a momentary discomfort, but as a familiar gnawing baseline. Food is not guaranteed. It is earned, hunted, foraged, and rationed with the precision of survival. One young woman unwraps a frozen slab of dried marrow fat, scraping it with a flint blade to divide it among the clan's children. It's barely enough to line a stomach, but it's rich in fat, gold in a world where calories decide whether you walk or collapse. This is not breakfast in the modern sense. It's maintenance, a fuel check before the machine of survival starts turning. What's often overlooked in prehistoric narratives is just how little energy people had to waste. Every step, every word, every decision cost something. Scholars still debate whether Paleolithic humans were in a constant state of famine, or if their flexible diets allowed them to live surprisingly well between hunts. But during winter on the Mammoth steppe, abundance is rare. At sites like Dolní Věstimice in what is now the Czech Republic, we've uncovered evidence of seasonal resource stockpiling, Bone caches, pits lined with hide and packed with frozen meat, primitive grain grinding stones. Yet, even with these early signs of planning, the winter months narrowed options dangerously. There were no cultivated fields, no domestic animals aside from dogs, and nothing to fall back on when a hunt failed. A more obscure but fascinating detail comes from dental analysis. Many individuals from this era show heavy tooth wear, likely from chewing dried hides, crushed seeds, or poorly ground plant fibers. In essence, their jaws were tools. The act of eating could be labor in itself. Children don't complain of hunger, they learn early not to. The oldest boy, not yet 10, carries a sling pouch made from squirrel hide. Inside, a few pine nuts and a shard of smoked fish skin from days ago. He guards it like treasure, not because he's selfish, but because he might need it during the march ahead. There's an intensity to the way everyone moves, purposeful but restrained. No one wastes words. They're packing tools, checking bindings, wrapping feet in grass and leather strips to prevent frostbite. Hunger sharpens everything. It makes every gesture mean something. By the time the clan leaves camp, their bodies are already burning fuel they don't have. There's no breakfast, only burden, and the day has only begun. They carry no swords, no steel, no complex machinery, yet every member of the hunting party holds a weapon shaped by generations of silent refinement. The most common, a simple spear tipped with flint or bone, balanced with a carved shaft and sometimes notched for grip. Brutal, basic, perfect. At first glance, the tools seem primitive, but under close examination, they reveal a deep understanding of aerodynamics, leverage, and material science, learned without textbooks or formal instruction. The clan's weapon maker, a wiry man with cracked hands and a habit of testing spear balance by fingertip, has spent years learning to read wood grain like a sculptor. Scholars still debate whether such specialists held distinct social status or simply shared knowledge communally. What's certain is this: a bad spear isn't just disappointing, it's a death sentence. The key to mammoth hunting lies not in strength but in coordination and timing. The most crucial invention for long-range strikes is the atlatl, or spear thrower, a hooked stick that extends the arm's leverage and launches a spear with deadly force. Mainstream archaeology credits its widespread use in Upper Paleolithic Europe around 17,000 BCE, with finds across France, Spain, and parts of Eastern Europe. To modern observers, it may seem like a toy, but it can double the velocity of a thrown spear, turning a skilled hunter into a lethal projectile launcher. And yet, not all weapons are made to kill. Some are psychological. Noisemakers crafted from animal bones, slings designed to hurl stones toward a mammoth's legs, not to wound, but to steer. The hunt is as much choreography as combat. A quirky but telling discovery. Carved ivory spear throwers, shaped like animals, mammoths, horses, even birds, have been found at sites like La Madeleine in France. Were they spiritual tools, status symbols, or simply art fused with function? We may never know, but their presence suggests a culture where tools and belief were not separate. Each clan member is responsible for their own gear. Spears are checked for cracks, blades resharpened with sandstone, bindings tightened with sinew. Even the young watch closely, mimicking the motions, learning through imitation because mistakes are rarely fixable. There are no backups, no storage rooms or spare parts. What you carry is what you have, and what you have must work. The simplicity of the weapons belies their sophistication. They're not designed for flair, they're designed for survival. With weapons readied and hunger sharpening their focus, the clan begins to move. The hunt is not yet upon them, but it waits, out there, with breath and thunder in the snow. The clan rises as one, a small body of humans bound by shared purpose and the harsh law of survival. The ground crunches beneath thick-soled shoes, the air biting through layers of fur and hide. Movement is constant. Standing still is vulnerability. They begin their journey across the Mammoth Steppe, a vast frozen plain stretching as far as the eye can see, dotted with icy streams and skeletal trees. This landscape was home to the last Ice Age's megafauna, giants like mammoths, woolly rhinos and reindeer, and also to predators far more lethal, wolves, cave lions, and rival human bands. Every step is measured, every breath calculated. Archaeological finds at sites like Kostenki in Russia reveal that these migrations were not random wandering. The clans followed seasonal patterns, chasing herds that moved with the shifting ice and thawing grasses. This meant days, sometimes weeks, spent on the march, traversing snow and mud, cold and wind. This trek was more than just physical. It demanded keen mental endurance. Tracking animals required reading signs invisible to us. Broken twigs, faint footprints in frozen soil, the scent carried on a breeze. A single mistake could lead them astray, into dangerous territory, or away from their prey. One fascinating, lesser-known fact is that some clans may have used primitive forms of scent marking or simple vocal signals to coordinate over long distances. Anthropologists debate whether these early communication methods were intentional language precursors or instinctual calls, but the effect was the same: cohesion and control during movement. The clan's pace is steady but exhausting. The youngest stumble, the oldest press on with stubborn will. Conversations are minimal, the silence punctuated only by the soft thwack of boots on snow, and the occasional whispered instruction. The cold seeps through even the thickest layers, chilling bones and stiffening joints. Survival here means constant movement. Standing still invites danger not just from predators, but from the cold itself. Hypothermia could strike in minutes, frostbite in hours. This migration is a relentless trial, a test of endurance, skill, and collective strength. It's easy to romanticize the hunt itself, but the reality is that the journey to the hunt often posed just as great a challenge. As the sun hovers low on the horizon, the clan closes in on fresh mammoth tracks. The hunt is near, the stakes are high, and the next hours will stretch the limits of human capability in a world that neither waits nor forgives. Tracking a mammoth herd across the endless ice and snow was no small feat. To us, their footprints might seem like faint impressions lost in the vast whiteness. To the clan's trackers, every subtle detail told a story. They read the ground like a book written in code, a code only a few could truly decipher. At this moment, the clan's lead tracker crouches low, fingertips brushing the edge of a deep, fresh print pressed into a muddy patch beside the frozen river. The size, depth, and stride length tell him how many mammoths passed here, in which direction, and how recently. He notices the faint drag marks beside the hoof-like prints, an indication a young calf is struggling or injured. This knowledge shifts the entire hunting strategy. Modern archaeological sites such as the Mammoth kill site at La Côte de Saint-Prelade on Jersey Island reveal how meticulously Paleolithic hunters planned their kills, often driving animals into natural traps like ravines or frozen rivers. This was no casual chase, it was a carefully orchestrated operation, requiring patience and precision. The science behind tracking remains a topic of ongoing debate. Some scholars argue that early humans had near supernatural environmental awareness, an almost sixth sense, while others suggest their skills were simply honed by relentless practice and observation. Regardless, the tracker's role was vital and respected. Here's a quirky but fascinating tidbit. Some anthropologists believe that early humans may have communicated tracking information through symbolic markings, scratches on bone or arrangements of stones, akin to primitive maps. While no definitive proof exists, discoveries of abstract engravings alongside kill sites keep this theory alive. The tracker whispers signals to the group, subtle hand gestures that convey the distance to the herd and the best approach. This silent communication prevents alarming the mammoths, while the clan moves forward with cautious precision. But patience is a scarce commodity. Every minute exposed risks an encounter with predators or sudden weather changes. The clan must balance the art of waiting with the urgent need to strike. As the sun edges lower, casting long shadows across the steppe, the hunters prepare. The invisible trail is about to become visible in ways they can't yet imagine. Suddenly, the stillness shatters. A herd of mammoth emerges, massive and slow, their thick fur blending into the snow-dusted landscape. The ground trembles beneath their weight. The clan freezes, breaths shallow, muscles tense like drawn bows. This is the moment they have trained for, the moment where survival and death hang in delicate balance. The hunt begins not with reckless fury, but with orchestrated precision. Men and women position themselves at strategic points, using natural terrain to their advantage. Some carry spears tipped with razor-sharp flint. Others hold atlatls, ready to launch deadly projectiles. The clan relies on centuries of experience, passed down through oral tradition and trial, to outmaneuver a creature many times their size. Archaeological evidence from sites such as the Boxgrove Quarry in England, dated around 500,000 years ago, shows early humans hunting large prey with sophisticated tools and coordinated strategies. While mammoth hunting peaked later, the principle of group hunting large animals remains a testament to early human intelligence and social organization. A quirky insight comes from cave art. Detailed depictions of mammoths being hunted suggests that some clans revered these creatures, possibly even seeing them as spiritual guides or symbols of power. Whether these paintings served as instructional diagrams or ritual homage is a topic scholars continue to debate. The clan's success depends on timing and communication. A spear thrown too early alerts the mammoths, too late and the chance is lost. The atlatls' leverage sends the spear soaring with lethal accuracy, piercing thick hides and powerful muscles. A wounded mammoth bellows, thrashing in fury, but the hunters press forward, relentless. It is a violent dance, a battle of wills between fragile humans and colossal beasts. Each strike demands physical strength, mental fortitude, and a keen understanding of the animal's behavior. One slip, one misjudgment, and the hunter risks becoming the hunted. This is not a game or a spectacle, it is raw survival. And as the dust settles, the clan's fate, whether feast or famine, will be decided by this fierce, ancient moment. The mammoth hunt is over, but survival remains precarious. Even the smallest cut, nick, or puncture can turn deadly in a world without medicine. The clan knows this all too well. Blood is not just a sign of injury, it's a beacon for infection, predators, and misfortune. After the hunt, the first priority is tending wounds. A man with a shallow spear wound to the thigh is wrapped in cloth and given crushed herbs with antiseptic properties, like yarrow or willow bark. These natural remedies, gathered from the surrounding steppe, were the closest thing to medicine available. Scholars still debate how widespread and effective these treatments truly were. Some evidence suggests that prehistoric humans had a surprisingly advanced understanding of herbal pharmacology, while others caution against overestimating their capabilities. An obscure but fascinating detail comes from paleopathology. Analysis of skeletal remains shows that many Ice Age individuals survived serious injuries, indicating effective wound care and perhaps community support for the injured. This survival, however, was far from guaranteed. In a land where scavengers and predators lurk, an open wound is a fatal invitation. The smell of blood draws wolves, bears, and even rival humans. The clan must move quickly to hide their injured and seal wounds to prevent infection. They construct makeshift splints and carry the wounded on sledges fashioned from mammoth bones and hides. The cold climate offers some protection by slowing bacterial growth, but it also complicates healing. Frostbite and chilblains threaten the injured and mobility is limited. Childbirth is another perilous event. Without sterile environments or pain relief, complications often turn fatal. The clan's women, experienced in these dangers, form a vital support network. Yet scholars still debate whether childbirth mortality was as high as often assumed, or somewhat mitigated by communal knowledge. Injuries aren't just physical. The psychological toll is immense. The constant awareness that a minor mistake could mean death shapes every action, every decision. This is a world where vulnerability is exposed brutally. The clan's strength lies not just in muscle or weapons, but in their ability to manage fragility, both their own and that of those they care for. If you bleed here, you might as well already be dead. Success brings not rest, but back-breaking labour and hard choices. After the thunderous hunt ends and the last mammoth falls, the clan faces the monumental task of transforming a colossal carcass into life-sustaining resources. There is no time for celebration, only urgent work. Every muscle aches, every bone must be worked, and every moment counts. At the famed Dolny Vestonice site, archaeologists uncovered massive butchering marks and tool remnants revealing that Ice Age hunters didn't simply kill, they engineered long-term survival. These giant beasts provided far more than meat. Their hides, bones, and tusks were raw materials for clothing, shelter, tools, and even art. Skinning the mammoth's thick hide is grueling and meticulous work. Any tear wastes valuable material that could mean the difference between warmth and deadly cold. Inside, organs offer fresh nutrition or preservation options, and the marrow in the massive bones is a coveted caloric prize rich in nutrients critical during the lean months ahead. Not everyone knows that mammoth tusks were prized trade goods. The ivory was carved into beads, figurines, and tools, sometimes travelling hundreds of miles beyond the kill site, suggesting early complex social networks and economies. These exchanges hint at a world more connected than one might imagine. The labour is exhausting, dirty, and dangerous. Exposure to blood and bone shards threatens infection. With meat spoiling fast even in cold air, rationing becomes a fraught negotiation, balancing survival needs against social fairness. Scholars still debate how food was distributed. Did skilled hunters and elders get priority, or did the clan share equally to ensure collective survival? Vigilance doesn't end with the kill. The scent of blood draws wolves, bears, and scavengers, while rival clans might attempt to steal the prize. Night watches are grueling but essential, the clan huddling close, weapons ready, guarding the fruits of their deadly labour. Every mammoth brought a bounty and a burden. The feast was a victory, but survival meant enduring the price that came with it. The constant battle against cold, hunger and exhaustion defines life in a mammoth hunting clan. These forces don't work in isolation, but combine relentlessly to erode strength and sharpen danger. Sleep in particular is a scarce luxury. Without insulated shelters or modern bedding, clan members often rest in short bursts, huddled close for warmth. Archaeologists studying Upper Paleolithic sites, like those at Sungir in Russia, have found evidence of communal sleeping arrangements, likely designed to maximize heat retention. Yet, even with proximity, the biting cold seeps into bones and muscles. Sleep deprivation impairs judgment, reaction time and coordination, deadly deficits when stalking massive prey or evading predators. It's a silent threat that lingers after the hunt is over, quietly undermining the clan's edge. Hunger compounds the problem. Despite their success in the hunt, caloric intake remains limited and inconsistent. Our ancestors likely experienced cycles of feast and famine, periods of plenty offset by lean times. The body's metabolism slows during starvation, conserving energy but making tasks more arduous. A fringe but intriguing theory posits that some clans may have employed early forms of fasting or food restriction to prepare for hunts, boosting alertness and endurance through metabolic adaptation. While speculative, this adds nuance to our understanding of Ice Age nutrition. The cold itself is a constant adversary. Hypothermia could set in within minutes during storms, and frostbite was a common injury. Clothing made from mammoth hides helped, but was heavy and inflexible, restricting movement. The fire was sacred, a small, flickering line between life and death. A lesser-known fact is that some communities may have strategically burned patches of vegetation to create natural windbreaks and hunting blinds, subtly manipulating their environment to ease these hardships. Together, cold, hunger, and exhaustion form a triad of pressure that tests every aspect of human resilience. It's a relentless, grueling fight, one that modern humans, with our comforts, can scarcely imagine. Survival in a mammoth hunting clan was never a solo endeavour. Instead, it depended on intricate social bonds woven through cooperation, trust, and shared hardship. This web of relationships was as essential as any spear or shelter. Within the clan, roles were fluid, yet defined. Hunters, gatherers, toolmakers, caregivers all contributed uniquely. Women likely played critical roles not only in gathering plants and small game, but also in caring for children and the elderly, maintaining social cohesion. Scholars continue to debate the degree of gender specialization, with some evidence pointing toward egalitarian sharing of responsibilities. Sites like the Upper Paleolithic settlement of Sungir have revealed burials with grave goods, suggesting social stratification and symbolic expression. Some individuals were buried with elaborately crafted beads and tools, hinting at status or spiritual significance. This adds depth to our understanding of prehistoric social structures beyond mere survival. A quirky fact: some researchers propose that early humans may have used ritualistic behaviours, dance, music, or symbolic art, to strengthen group identity and morale, much like modern sports fans or soldiers. While speculative, these practices could have been vital in maintaining cooperation during hardship. Trust was not just social but survival critical. Food sharing ensured no one starved, but it also required confidence that the generosity would be reciprocated. The clan's survival depended on these exchanges, making betrayal a grave threat. Communication extended beyond words. Non-verbal cues, touch, and shared rituals knit the group together, especially when silence was needed during the hunt. This deep interdependence challenges modern assumptions of prehistoric life as purely brutal and competitive. Our ancestors' social networks were their safety nets. Without this web, the rigours of the mammoth steppe would have been insurmountable.
Why we wouldn't last 24 hours. Stepping back, it becomes clear why surviving even a single day in a mammoth hunting clan would be a monumental challenge for a modern human. We are creatures of comfort, habituated to convenience and abundance. The harsh realities of the Ice Age, extreme cold, relentless hunger, physical demands and social pressures form an ecosystem of survival that few today could navigate. Recall the hunger from morning's first light, the
The unyielding march across the frozen steppe, the silent tracking of giant beasts, and the savage precision of the hunt itself. Remember the ever-present threat of injury, infection, and exposure, the exhausting interplay of cold and sleeplessness, and the delicate social fabric holding the clan together. Modern humans lack the physiological adaptations our ancestors honed over millennia: denser bones, greater cold tolerance, and metabolic resilience. We also lack the mental conditioning required to endure constant danger without succumbing to panic or despair. The knowledge needed to read tracks, craft weapons, and gather medicinal plants has all but vanished from daily life. Scholars still debate whether the lessons of the mammoth hunters are lost forever, or if traces remain in cultural memory and human biology. What is undeniable is that survival in such a world demanded not only strength and skill, but an intimate bond with the environment and community. If we were dropped into that world without preparation, we'd likely last only hours, outmatched by the elements, the beasts, and even our own bodies. Yet, reflecting on their struggle teaches us profound lessons about resilience, cooperation, and the delicate balance between humanity and nature. Their story is a testament to the endurance that shaped our species and a reminder of the precarious roots from which our modern lives have blossomed. If deep history fascinates you, consider subscribing for more. Conclusion. Through the lens of the mammoth hunting clan, we glimpse a world defined by hardship, ingenuity, and community. Their survival was a complex dance of physical endurance, social cooperation, and deep environmental knowledge. A world utterly alien to us, yet foundational. While we may never live as they did, understanding their challenges enriches our appreciation of human resilience and adaptability. Their legacy is not just a story of survival, but a mirror reflecting our own capacity to endure and thrive in the face of adversity. In remembering them, we connect to the roots of humanity itself, inspiring us to face our modern challenges with equal courage and unity.